Okay, so this one's about the nature of devotion. And I think the revelations around devotion are quite profound. And I've experienced these with much greater depth in the last year myself personally. And I want to share these because I think they can actually be quite life-changing in a variety of different contexts. So the first one I want to speak to is the context of relationships. And they don't necessarily have to be romantic relationships, but I mean intimate relationships where there's care involved from both sides, and a willingness to be responsible, and to take responsibility. And I think the inclination, especially being a man, I think the expectation is that devotion is something that we have to give. And so I just want to blow that misconception out of the water, that like devotion is something to do with my capacity. And so the first revelation I want to share is that devotion is actually proportional. Devotion is something that's naturally evoked. It's not a resource that I have to give. It's not an asset I have to give to someone. It's something that's naturally evoked, and these are the conditions upon which it is evoked. So I couldn't devote myself to you as a means of exchange, as an example. If someone comes to me with a proposition and says, if you this, I will give you this if you devote yourself to me. That will not unlock my devotion. In fact, in commerce and business, no form of proposal will unlock my devotion unless there is a deep commitment to the desire, to the underlying desire. And so in business, we call this a brief. Someone comes to me with a brief. The brief says it infers that someone's deeply committed to an outcome, to a desire, to the realization of a desire. I can devote myself in that scenario. That evokes devotion within me because of the degree of commitment. If you're not committed, then I am unable to devote myself. So it's proportional. So I'm willing to devote myself at varying degrees, proportional to the commitment to the authentic desire, and to the commitment to what has to be true in order for that desire to materialize in the world. And so in business, I have a company called Morpheus. In business, that could be major transformation within the organization in order to adopt AI. It could be that we need to stop selling the product that we've been selling for the last however many years because it's not profitable, it's not sustainable, and it's taxing. And so if someone remains committed to something that hasn't been working and is not willing to be committed to the underlying desire, which is to become profitable, self-sustainable, whatever it may be, then if they're not committed to letting go of what no longer serves the realization of that desire, of course you need to imbue grace into the system as much as you can. But ultimately, if they're not willing to commit to the realization of the desire, the level of my devotion wanes. And so I can only meet them where they are at in terms of authentic devotion. So it's like a mirror. And what I experience with many people is the sensation of just spinning their wheels, but getting no traction. So lots and lots of effort not going anywhere. And so it's this state of limbo where the truth of what they're committed to is what they've already been doing, and they can't let go. And they're seeking commitment and devotion from the people around them. But in truth, their commitment to their current ways of being is pushing the new emergent desire further and further away. And so devotion, that, the really masculine, to my mind, this is like the masculine version of, unconditional love. For, the feminine, it's like the masculine version of the feminine expression. It's like proportional love. It's almost like, almost like the antithesis, almost like a form of conditional love. It's like you can have everything you've ever imagined if you are committed to the realization of the desire at any cost. If you can meet me with that degree of commitment to what you want, then that's where I meet you, and that's where you feel the full potency of my masculine energy. And so devotion in this context, it's really a mirror of your own commitment. And so what can sabotage this is a lack of commitment, basically. Requiring evidence first, creating conditions upon your own commitment. When in order to receive that devotion, you have to take the leap in order to be met in that way. And I think this is the leap of faith in business that many business owners and I think a lot of startups never take due to risk aversion, because in order to feel safe, they scatter the energy across multiple potential scenarios without ever truly committing to the one that they have the most confidence in, that makes them feel most alive, that is most in alignment with their desire, with what they actually want. And that's where the leap of faith comes in. It's like committing to what we actually want rather than what we think we should be doing. And this is how we end up having the wrong customers, servicing the wrong customers, having customers make us feel like we're doing the wrong things and who can't see the true value of what we've done. When we have this people-pleasing mentality, we're trying to please our customers, we're trying to convince people that we're worthy. It just means we're not aligned with what we actually truly desire. But when we commit to that desire with all of the risk, it makes us feel alive. That's where our sentience is like, that's where the life is, right? And that's where reality meets us with devotion. People who are devoted to us, who are like, yeah, let's fucking go. We're with you. It's palpable. This is how reality works. I've noticed it very clearly with myself. And so just being frank with intimate friendships specifically, where maybe there's an element of business involved, but the friendship's deeper. And so the confusion around, working on a project together, like on a business project together. And just discerning what it is that's activating about it. It's like, I think when there are friendships involved in business, the desire is actually just, it's more about the human beings. It's more about the person that you're with and what you're doing, and being committed to building a life with that person, like where business is the main theme, right? So it's like being ultra discerning about the reasons why we're doing what we're doing, about the reasons why we're working with specific people. We tend to make it all about, the $1 billion exit, or the salary that means that we have bandwidth and we can forget about money and be at peace. Like these things are great for hygiene. They're factors, but it's like if we're truly honest about the desire, we want to be with specific people when we're doing the thing. We want to share the successes together. We want to be with people who we know are, who we want to commit ourselves to commit to building with. And if we can express that with vulnerability, that I want to commit myself to this project, so we can do it together, so I can build this part of my life with you and we can share it together, that will be met with such profound levels of devotion. That this is the part of me that I feel most vulnerable about as a man, because at some level I'm aware that I'm actually not in control of it, right? I'm not actually in control of whether I devote myself to someone or not. Like if you show up in front of me and you tell me you're committed to a mission of some deep desire that you have, and you've considered all the options, you've considered all the consequences of that choice to bring it into reality, that you're going to have to move cities, that you're going to maybe lose friends, that you're going to have to, maybe there's an addiction, you're going to have to let go of that. Maybe you have to break up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Maybe you have to put off having a child for another 12 months. Or, it's like, if you're all in and you're committed to it and you understand the consequences of those decisions, that's when I can meet you and begin that phase transition, and you'll feel the gravity of that devotion, and it will just get evoked from within me. And for me, what that means is, like, once I feel that, I'm already orchestrating, like, the impact of my influence, of my gravity on the environment. Like, I'm using all of it to just orchestrate, and in terms of masculine energy, to me, that's like the container. It's the ultimate container for desire in context of deep commitment to that desire. But the less the commitment, the less that container will be felt, because I'm just gently, if you're just exploring your options and, maybe I'll have a go at this, and I've been thinking about this, it'll be, okay, I'll be curious, tell me more, what makes you say this, and that's great. But I won't be truly devoted until the commitment's made, and that's when that energy is just seeking the ground. It's looking to land. It's wanting to just add gravity and make it real in the world, And that's where men, we love being in that energy. We love feeling devoted to something that's where this natural sensation in our body is, it's abundant and free flowing in our body. And it's a wonderful grounding, anchoring feeling, and of building something real in the world. And so what's really challenging about this, right, is like the vulnerability of sharing our desires. Like, often there's a disconnect, that I've experienced this myself, like where there are people that we have gravity, we've attracted each other into our lives, and there's intimacy there, and lots of creative energy, and clearly a shared intent, and your visions overlap, and you're like, there's something here for us to create and do together. Like, this feels great, but you just can't ground it or land it. You can't seem to get traction. And it's like, no, there's something here. and they're like telling me till they're blue in the face. I've been telling you the whole time what I want, like, and I'm like, I'm not hearing it, man. It's not landing. And it's because you're focusing on the wrong thing, like, because you haven't touched the desire, the true desire, and that's the intimate connection between the people that hasn't been named. You're not really being honest about why you want to do these things. Because in truth, what our vision is showing us are all the things we could be doing with that person that feel alive, you know. And I think the more honest we can be, especially in the world that we're creating together now, I mean, commerce is changing. The AI revolution's coming. It's going to gift us more and more of our bandwidth back. We're going to have more and more space to breathe, be creative, spend time with our thoughts and with people that we care about. It's going to become more and more important, the dynamic of the relationships between people, like who we're with, who we're creating with. And so the nuances of those dynamics between people are going to become more apparent. We're going to become far more precise about who we're compatible with and who we're not compatible with. We're not just going to leave these things to chance. We're really going to dive into the alchemy of blending uniqueness of human beings together and really weave these things together in new, beautiful and unimaginable ways. And so we're going to get far more curious about the nature of a human being, their depth and their breadth. You know, and we're going to get better at intimacy. It's going to feel safer to be curious with people and to share more with them. And we'll be able to do more because we'll have more bandwidth. And it'll be very natural to be far more curious than what we are now. But again, my sense is that we're going to want to devote ourselves to things. We're going to want to commit to our desires far more. Far more. And so in that context, it's like we're actually going to, when we're really committed to realizing our desires, it's much more concentrated work. It's far less scattered when we're exploring and trying to discover things. When we truly know what we want to commit to and we make that commitment, then we're building with depth, right? We're not spreading ourselves. And yeah, it's fun to be curious and to enter into that discovery phase of exploration, going into exploration, and it's great, but there's no substance, At some point, you're going to want to create and build things of substance. And this is where, art meets production. It's like, we're going to really want to produce together. We're going to want to produce things together. Artistry is great and it's very pure. But my sense is that the world we're moving into is going to be more intentional art, purposeful art. Art that is constrained by time and space, intentionally constrained, that honors time and space, so that we can commit ourselves to something that is imbued and infused with our intent, to unlock that devotion that just gives us the gravity to build and ground things on the earth. And so what I want to share with people is like this. It's taken me many, many years to unearth the nature of devotion. I knew I had devotion within me, but I always thought it was repressed. And I always thought I had to try and figure out ways to be devoted. And so it's a major shift in perspective when you realize that it's evoked. It's naturally evoked through commitment. And so if anyone, I know quite a few of you who listen to this are in the innovation ecosystem, and I've got startups and things like this, and managing risk is a part of everyday life. And, what I would say is that if you're having the sensation of putting in tons of effort, but it feels like you're spinning your wheels and going nowhere, just have a look at the way you assess risk and see if you can identify an aspect of your nature that is, instead of choosing with certainty, instead of choosing things that are have high confidence, see if you're instead demanding on 100% certainty before committing. Now, those are two, that this seems like a very, very subtle thing, a very subtle difference. But if you're demanding 100% certainty before you commit to something, reality can't meet you with devotion. That includes the people involved. Because reality is willing to meet you exactly where you're at, where you're committed to being, despite the risk. And so demanding 100% certainty before committing to something is guaranteeing that you won't move forward. That the only possible outcome is zero traction. Or at least, staying where you are. And so the simple way to navigate this is through confidence. So with your pipeline of opportunities, begin to sense into the gravity of these opportunities and add weights to them using your somatic intelligence, using your somatic felt interpretation of your confidence in that thing. And just apply a number to it. So I use numbers out of 100. So how confident are we in this today? 70% confident. Okay. Something happens tomorrow. How confident are we in this today? It's gone down to 40%. Okay. Cool. And that is the best way to manage risk, so that you're constantly making traction on everything, because you're committed to your own confidence. You're committed to your confidence in yourself, not in external circumstances having to be true, you see. And so reality can meet you there with devotion and be like the wind beneath your wings. And when you find this pocket, when you land in this pocket, people can't believe how much you enjoy life, right? Because you're committed to yourself. You feel confident, and so you're met with devotion. If you feel confident and you commit to your somatic intelligence, to your somatic interpretation, based on how confident you feel, and you trust that, and that's your orientation, then you commit. And reality meets you there. When I say reality, I'm talking about the people and the circumstances, You feel like it's working with you. You feel like it's the wind beneath your wings. Weird things happen, and you don't get paranoid that, and you don't assess them based on the symptoms. Logically, this, X, Y, Z, A, B, C. And so I make my assessment based on that. It's not, no. Confidence is a somatic expression. Confidence is an expression of somatic intelligence, which, as some of you know, is a form of intelligence that I'm working on at the moment, form of artificial intelligence based on pressure sensing, similar to how weather works. And if you feel confidence, it's an interesting one. Like if you just close your eyes now and just think about something in your life, an opportunity you're working on, and ask yourself, how confident am I that this is going to ground, that it's going to land? and just give yourself measure it out of 100 and base it almost like it's a pressure setting, right? How much pressure do you feel in your body that's telling you how confident you should be in that thing? So you're not measuring uncertainty here. The uncertain, if you give yourself a score of 70% as an example, as a confidence score, then there's 30% uncertainty. But the truth is that you're 70% confident, right? And so if you're feeling 70% confident, you may not need the certainty of the 30%, right? You're not demanding that there has to be 100%. And so that headroom that you're leaving, if you've got 70% confidence, that headroom that you're leaving is allowing uncertainty to bring delight and surprise and emergence and unexpected things that are non-linear, right? So that breath of just allowing yourself to be uncertain but super confident. And now apply this to all of the opportunities in your pipeline. Cool, we've got 15 opportunities, got varying degrees of confidence across the entire portfolio. And we want to consolidate, so I'm going to do a cull. So everything below 10%, it's gone, ditching it. And this is how you steward your own bandwidth, right? Just use your own confidence and just back yourself and just commit to yourself, to your own interpretation, to your body's intelligence based on how confident you feel. Don't think about uncertainty. Doesn't matter. You don't make decisions in the world based on whether it's like whether it's you can control it completely, right? You don't want to control everything completely. You want delight and surprise to be part of your experience. So just entrain the environment around you within which delight and surprise can naturally emerge in the form of serendipity, in the form of joy. And expect these things to happen, because they will. If you have the bandwidth, if you have that breath, and if you commit deeply to yourself and to your own levels of confidence. And people sense it in you when you're talking. They can feel how confident you are in yourself. And it's not egotistical. It's just like, because you know that the room that you're in with that person in that moment, you're confident that it's flourishing. You're confident it's going to bear fruit. You know that by being there, it's going to increase your confidence after it. And so your whole orientation for your entire life is based on how confident you feel, right? And you're moving into new spaces and establishing dynamics with people that are sponsored by an intention to grow confidence. This is how you grow your mana. This is how you become unstoppable, like an immovable force. Paradoxically, through holding space for uncertainty, but driven and oriented by confidence. And when you cull the opportunities in your life in a conscious way that, you have low confidence in, then everything you're working on, it's just breeding more and more confidence. And the more bandwidth you get, when you scale your business and you grow your business, the more space you can hold for opportunities that you have low confidence in, right? And you increase your confidence in them as well. And the more capital you get and the more resources you have, the more confident you become in the opportunities that currently have low confidence, because you can invest in innovation and solving deep problems that didn't seem possible before. Now all of a sudden, everything in your pipeline you're feeling confident about, because you've got surplus resources, you've got surplus wealth, you've got surplus people, relationships. And now your confidence, you're just building confidence like everything you're doing is just building confidence. So what happens then when the unexpected happens? Black swan events, something comes out of the blue, nothing happens. Because nothing can knock your confidence, right? Everything you're working on, you may have had confidence of 90% in something one day, and then something happens and it goes down to 0%, and then you cull it. But you've got all these other things that you're supremely confident about, that you're nurturing. So your confidence can't be knocked. This is the solution to everything: depression, self-esteem, self-directed learning, how to show up in your relationships, how to steward relationships, how to grow a business, how to steward wealth, how to care for nature, how to live life by being committed to yourself and by being committed to growing your own confidence, and then just allowing reality to meet you with pure devotion and integrating delight and surprise into your life in ways that will just feel magical. And serendipity will become your best friend, that's for sure. So, if you haven't got bandwidth in your life right now, just look at everything you're working on, all the opportunities, and apply a confidence score. How confident are you that these investments are yielding? So it could be friendships, it could be anything you're investing your time into, right? Are these yielding? And what's your confidence score? What's your confidence score that it will yield, that it is yielding? Perhaps it's depreciating. Perhaps it's a depreciating investment, right? So cull it. Cull it now. And reinvest into opportunities that are growing your confidence. It's that simple. You're going to grieve and your life will radically change, but it is simple. Okay, so hopefully that lands. I think this is a really profound revelation, and I've got some very dear friends in my life who've brought this to my attention, and through the depth of our connection and through the degrees of commitment to ourselves, and just noticing how it's unlocked devotion within us to each other, to the projects we're working on, to our friendships, and it's truly profound, especially when your friends around you awaken to the same kind of realization about their own lives, and you can speak to each other and meet each other on this level. Life becomes really, really fun. Okay, I'll leave it there. That's it for now for the nature of confidence. Talk soon.